Scott Golden with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel as well as the at PO Perception Twitter feed. Welcome, everybody. If you're new, please subscribe, rate, comment below, and share this audio. Today, we're going to talk about being action orientated. You know, one of the most important things in the world is to take action. Most often, people end up talking about the things they wish they would have done, could have done, should have done. It wasn't the right time. The right time will come somehow, some way, someday. And there's a million reasons why every person will stop themselves from taking action. And we stop ourselves based on a biological reason, and that is our brain is orchestrated to help us protect ourselves from taking what we perceive to be, in any way, unnecessary risks. The problem with this mentality, though, is relatively simple, and that is there is a limitation to how far one can go without taking some degree of risk into alignment or into value. In other words, that is to say, you must be action orientated to make any bit of progress. Now, the size of the action will, in fact, impact the size of the success that you have. And the fear of rejection is one of the most common things that causes a person not to take action. If you are afraid of not being able to succeed, you will inevitably stop yourself from taking chances. Whether you're a pro athlete, whether you're a business person, whether you're searching for a new relationship, the fear of rejection motivates you to remain inactive, because the false idea is, I actually do not feel I can recover from this thing, that if I were to confront it, something would go wrong, or something would be wrong with me, or things are going to fall apart if I take the wrong action at the wrong time. The problem with this is it leads to a level of paralysis that makes you then think that there will be a perfect time when everything feels right and you have no fear of risk anymore. The trouble with that mentality is simply that it does not exist in a moment where the absence of all doubt 100% of the time is going to exist. In other words, there's always going to be a natural, biological, biochemical option for you to feel that you have a split second moment, usually somewhere between 5 to 15 seconds, where you second guess yourself. It is in that moment of second guessing when every bit of progress is taken away. Now, when a person makes true progress, what they actually do is they push past that emotion and they say, I believe I can balance this out. I can recover. I can, come up with a solution if things go wrong. I can find a new way of handling things if something unexpected happens. What you believe also influences whether or not you take massive action or minimal action. In other words, if you are in sales, you will look for the best people to sell to, the easiest people to sell to, the most guaranteed sale, unless you trust that you can respond to anything, anyone at any given time. Now, if you are put in alignment with the ability to have a conversation, it also means that within you somewhere, even if you don't know where, exists the ability to say the right thing at the right time, otherwise the inspiration would not have come to you. And sometimes acting upon your inspirations can be somewhat scary, because if you do not trust your judgment, you will come up with very logical, very comfortable rationalizations of why this isn't the right time, or if I were to do this now, this could go wrong, that could go wrong, or anything else as such. The issue becomes when you begin to look for reasons not to act, you will also create for yourself reasons for you not to find a place of belonging in the action you want to take. In other words, you will lose, at least partially, your belief that the actions you take are actually going to make the difference you want them to make. Your belief in your own ability to respond and act appropriately or accordingly, which means adjusting to the idea that failure, or the perception of failure, because failure truly doesn't exist, every failure is just an opportunity to align with the perfect timing for success. Every failure is just an opportunity, but not a reality. And so what you need to look at is, am I willing to see myself in the right manner, or in a manner that allows me to grow through the discomfort of catching myself in an unexpected state of being? Am I willing to grow by taking actions that I believe are right but may not be, but that I can find a way, somehow, to continue that growth, expand that growth in ways that I did not expect, so that the end result leads to me being a person of consistent action. When you believe in your own ability to be consistent, then you are creating from that place of consistency. When you are creating from a place of consistency, your limitations go away because you gain within yourself a desire and a comfort level with personal momentum. Sometimes people have big dreams, they have big goals, they have big aspirations, but they do not have big follow through. Why is that? Because most often, and here's the challenge, we have this faulty way of thinking. The faulty way of thinking is, if I want to do big things, I've got to start big from the beginning. Or I've got to know what I'm doing before I actually start doing anything. The problem with that is this: it doesn't actually work. The reason it doesn't work is because at the end of the day, momentum is required in order to continue the growth of progress. When you begin to see yourself as someone who can recreate momentum, even if it gets stuck, even if it gets stopped, even if it gets lost, that's where your power comes from. That's where you will take over in a really meaningful way. That's where you will begin to grow and expand in ways that you didn't even think were possible, because you will understand that your actions are all inspired when they're in alignment, and not inspired when it's not the quote right, or more accurately, the progressive thing to do. If you have an emotional state that's telling you not to act, it's because it's out of alignment with what you really believe you should do, or what is right for you, or how to grow from there. And that becomes a really, really powerful tool. The reason it's such a powerful tool is because when you begin to understand that how you feel is an indicator of adjustment, you remove all limitations of your own progress, thereby making it easier for you to reach your goals. There is no reason that you cannot reach every goal that you've set forth within yourself to reach, even on a dream level, except if you allow the limitation of excuses to become your dominant way of being. There will be reasons you can talk yourself out of progress. Matter of fact, the people you surround yourself with might be one of those reasons. If you are dealing with people who are not progressive minded, whether they are your friends, whether they are your family, whether they are your spouse, whether they are a person that you're in relationship with, your boss or whomever, and they are your dominant place of dealing, in other words, they're where you spend the majority of your time, there will be no reason, absolutely, positively, 100% none, for you to follow through on what you said you were going to do. Reason being, if you surround yourself with people that allow you to focus on what you shouldn't do, it will make sense to you not to do it. When you begin to understand the value completely in your ability to change who you surround yourself with, take different actions, take calculated risks. Now, that doesn't mean jump out of a plane without a parachute. Obviously, we want to stay safe, but sometimes safe just means being prepared to respond to unforeseen circumstances. Safe doesn't always mean comfortable, because you can take a safe risk that pushes you to a new level. You can take an action plan that pushes you beyond what you think you can do, simply to give you the ability to believe that you have the capacity to do it. When you begin to see your capacity differently, your actions will become larger and larger. Human beings most often have difficulties understanding the need for the power of momentum to be on your side. So if today you're looking at mountains of debt, we've all been there, or you're looking at a broken marriage, or you're looking at maybe some issues with your children, or issues with family, or you're looking at being unfulfilled in your career path. The question isn't become how am I going to fix all of this? Because that's a BS question that ain't going to lead you nowhere. The question is, what in this can I fix now to make myself focus differently so that fixing more of it and building on that ability to fix it becomes possible? You know, most often the people that are struggling the most in life, it didn't just happen overnight. Matter of fact, it led from years or months or several years, sometimes decades, of lying to oneself and being self-deceptive and then deceiving others by default. In other words, the idea is every time we say we're fine but you don't feel fine, that's a self-deception. Convinced yourself you're fine when you're really not, and then you share it with others, so you're deceiving them without meaning to. Now, I'm not saying that because it means that you're a bad person. We've all done it from time to time, but it blocks progress. You will not progress beyond what you believe is possible. You will not progress beyond your pattern of action. And so if you want actual progress, you must create different, better, or more progressive actions that are linear. Linear meaning step by step. If I've done something today to generate, I don't know, enough to pay my electric bill with my business, then maybe my next goal is my electric bill and my heat bill. And my next goal is I want to pay my electric bill, my heat bill, and then perhaps part of my mortgage or part of my credit card bill or whatever that looks like. Same thing works with relationships too. People forget this. If I'm wanting to get closer to a person, I don't put myself in a situation where it's all or nothing, nor do I assume that they understand where I'm coming from. If you really want progress in relationship, there's two things to do. Become really clear on your vision for that relationship, whatever it is, and ask powerful questions to figure out if the relationship you're in is aligned or not. If a person is honest with you and you're in alignment, continue to pursue it. If a person is not honest with you and you're not in alignment, look at either ways to realign the relationship. In other words, get on the same page or leave it alone. Most often what happens is we believe falsely, and here's a big lie that causes a lot of relationship discord, that you can convince a person to see the world the way you do. Now, there's a short group of people, a very small group of people, where that happens, but these are individuals who are able to adjust and see different perceptions. Now, just because someone sees the world the way you do doesn't mean they believe the way you do. The power of belief is so important. So here's the question that most often you have to ask. Do I want to be right? Concept of right and wrong, or do I want to be happy? You cannot force your beliefs on another person and wind up with both people being happy. The actions you take should align with your happiness while also not doing harm to anyone else if you can help it, because we're all here to interconnect with others and grow the benefit of the planet, which means looking at the inability to cause harm or the lack of desire not to cause harm and our own emotional state is so important. Take actions that align those two things and you'll have more fulfillment in your life. Take actions to align those two things and you will begin to understand the value of every moment. Remember, the more action-motivated, action-orientated you are, the better your life is going to be. There's always going to be reasons not to do something, but there's one reason to do it. One is, why not you? Why not now? We're not promised anything beyond this moment. The past doesn't exist except in our memory. The future is something we co-create. Make the most of your now. Once again, this has been Scott Golden with Golden Opportunities Coaching, reminding you, keep your feet on the ground, Your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.